Welcome to the One for the Road podcast. My name is Mr. K. Alongside me, as usual, C Squared. Tonight's topic, we thought we'd do the economy under Trump, a second term, and his beautiful tariffs we've talked about before, but you can't escape it. They are a imprint into anything economic that Mr. Trump is doing. So far, the second term has been a bit rockier than his first for financial markets. In April, when he decided to announce his tariffs, his reciprocal tariffs, which were double what was being currently charged reciprocally, that sent the markets into a downward trend big time in April, but they bounced back quite a bit. Investors and skeptics fear that Mr. Trump's tariffs will stoke inflation and depress economic growth. I don't think that was his goal for doing the tariffs.
Yeah. And I will say that just a couple of thoughts off the top of my head. Uh, we've seen this movie before. The market bounced back. I think that he is using that as a stick to negotiate things. I really don't think it's about the tariffs. It could be with major trading partners, China and so forth. Well, I don't think it's about the tariffs. I think we're overlooking, and a lot of the economic pundits, Mr. K, are overlooking the entire picture. I will say the entire bigger picture. He has made some substantial threats to Russia, Vlad and Russia and those guys. He's doing some things in the Middle East and and with the Russia conflict that are not all that wise per a bunch of political analysts and military analysts like Colonel McGregor and folks like that, Judge Andrew Napolitano, and other people who are, in my mind, very reputable folks. Scott Ritter, former weapons inspector, those guys are saying, you're kind of playing with fire here. But the other piece of this, too, that I think is overlooked, which would be the big driver in my mind for Friday's dump, which is things were chugging along until Friday, and things were topped out and going sideways, but you didn't get this big dump on Friday until Amazon missed. You had a bunch of the jobs numbers restated, and while that was a standard fare in the Biden administration, their numbers were so phony they didn't restate them for months and months. Opposed to at least when the numbers are phony, Trump is having his folks restate them in a prompt fashion. However, boy, it'd be nice if you just reported the real numbers to start with. You look at it and say, there are a lot of undercurrents. So I look at the tariffs and say that they're getting a lot more blame than they actually
do. Yeah, I do too.
Because I think that there are all kinds of undercurrents here. Unemployment and job numbers. Companies like the AI company that I was doing work for, who we will remain nameless, dumped like 17% of their workforce. And I actually know somebody impacted in the California area, friend of a friend. So you look at that aspect and say big companies are dumping people off. I think a while back,
Microsoft laid off 9,000.
Yeah, Microsoft had layoffs. I thought that Procter
Alphabet.
Gamble may have had layoffs not too long ago. I think a while back ago, probably 6 months ago, and you can correct me if there's something more current, John. But I know Kroger laid off a bunch of people in their analytics group before their
Right.
CEO left.
Yes.
Um, and so you look at it and you're saying these are pretty big. This is across the board, anywhere from startups to big companies laying people off. And guess what? You're not going to easily be able to hide those numbers like
Right.
Biden did,
Yeah.
like Uncle Joe did, because they were just shameless liars, in my personal opinion. So that's just a personal thought. But the other aspect of it is so that plays on the economy. The other aspect of it is that our foreign policy, whether you're talking about tariffs or you're talking about military foreign policy, is under a lot of criticism and not proven. I can tell you that. Although I am less negative on the tariffs than I am on our military foreign policy. That
Right.
having
Right.
to keep our nose out of it. But we'll have to
Yeah.
save that
Yeah.
for
Really.
another episode.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Um,
So on Friday, what was really interesting on Friday, unemployment ticked up to 4.2%. But what was really wild is Trump fired the head of labor statistics after weaker than expected jobs data. And he said on social media the rigged job figures to make the Republicans look bad is the reason why
so,
he
I
fired
did
her.
not read that. That is hilarious,
Yes,
Mr.
yeah,
Gimel. That is hilarious because of the fact what you just said is opposite of what I just said in the beginning, that at least he has some level of integrity opposed to the total shameless liars that were in the Biden administration. That comment says shameless liars are us. Come on back. All you Biden people that were creating these voting reports, come on back. You want your job back?
yeah. Well, again, it's another example of when Trump faces the truth and he hears things that he doesn't like. He ends up firing people and just going off the deep end, if you
But
ask me.
but if I was that guy, so you fired me for telling the truth. So in other words, you should fire me and bring back all the Biden-esque people who were
Right.
shameless liars
Well,
about the jobs reports for years on end, because that's apparently what you want.
yeah, and it's the Powell argument all over again. Powell won't decline interest rates, so he wants to fire him because he doesn't do what he wants, or he doesn't hear what he wants. He wants to hear that Powell's going to lower interest rates and
Right.
send the stock market higher and have everybody happy. And Powell knows better. And he's like, no, I'm staying the course. I know a little bit more about the economy than you do. I've been studying it for decades.
Yeah. So I mean, there are two camps there, and both of them are a disaster. But I will just give you 30 seconds on the two camps. So the Trump camp being it's all rigged, it's all fake. So why don't we try to spur economic growth at any cost?
Right.
Because the deficit and all this other crap is just a bunch of garbage anyway, because money is printed out of thin air through
Right.
credit creation at the banking level, which should be a whole nother podcast and will have to be.
Yeah.
Because Tucker Carlson, by the way, down the rabbit hole, just had
The Economist. I saw part of
yeah,
it. I forget his
Warner. What
name.
was his? Well, I can't think of Warner's first name, but impressive,
Yes.
impressive, man. Great. Hats off to you, Mr. Carlson. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
just
that
a.
guy was
I
really
watched the
sharp.
whole thing. Brilliant. So, but uh, so Trump would say, "I'm just going to grow the economy," which there is some rationale behind that. If you're saying everything is fake, then why not just who cares about the deficit? Grow the just keep growing the economy. The
Right.
other thought of the Don's really good friend, Tom Massey from
Yeah.
Kentucky, his best friend in life, Tom Massey from Kentucky, and even people like Rand Paul, who are kind of owned by lobbyists, but uh, saying that we should get the fiscal deficit in order, which is not in a real world, that would be absolutely true. However, that is negative for growth. Talk about throwing the brakes on. You are absolutely throwing the brakes on when you start cutting spending and stuff like that. So I, in all honesty, shockingly enough, Mr. K, have no opinion on
It is a
which
shock.
side that you we should actually be on, the Don's growth side or Tom Massey's uh, fiscal conservative side, because I think both of them end in a 10-car pileup on the side of the highway.
Right.
I think no matter which car you're in, it's going. You're about to get in a 10-car pileup. I
Well,
don't know.
what's a shame is when Trump first started taking office, the Doge cuts and all this cutting started happening, and it was just like, oh my God, he's going to slim down government, he's going to cut the deficit, and then comes the big beautiful bill, which does nothing.
The exact
Just
opposite.
add spending galore, and oh my God,
And
spending
that
like
is, in
crazy in
fact,
the military complex.
yeah, the growth model. That is the only way you could explain the big beautiful bill, which was neither was certainly
Oh, it was
big.
big.
It was
It
not
was certainly
beautiful by any
big.
stretch of the
It wasn't
imagination.
beautiful.
Man, so the only way you can explain that is the mentality of I'm just going to grow GDP, use GDP to grow our way out of uh, debt, and and it doesn't really matter because it's all kind of phony anyway.
Right.
So I mean, there is some rationale to that scenario that you know what, dude, banks create, and in all honesty, I'm shocked that Jerry Powell is not on board with that, dude. I am literally shocked that Jerry Powell, being part of the Federal Reserve complex, which knows damn well that if you do not have growth, that the Ponzi is over.
Right.
So I could go down the absolute tinfoil hat conspiracy rabbit hole and say, what is Jerry Powell's goal? Is it to truly collapse the economy so that all the individual banks collapse and the Federal Reserve, centralized Federal Reserve, is the lender of last choice and we get our CBDCs anyway?
Right.
Because now there are no individual banks. Mr. K's new bank account is at the Federal Reserve.
Yeah.
And that's the only place, that's the
That's a bit
only
scary.
That's the only bank that Mr. K ever needs.
Oh boy, it'll be a dark day. It'll be
That
a
we're gonna have
dark.
to talk about that another day.
It'll be a dark day. I don't think I want to talk about that. I think Powell thinks he's controlling inflation. With that said, inflation is at 2.7%, which is pretty freaking good. Biden, the great Biden, had it up to 8.5 at one point.
Yeah,
Inflation
right.
during his
There is
mighty
that. There
realm.
is that. That aspect. If Jerry Powell was an honorable man, which I don't know, I don't have an opinion on Jerry. He certainly is better than the dynamic duo of the Bernanke and Grandma. But
Grandma was the worst.
but the bottom, he's certainly, maybe he's not better, but I will tell you, he certainly seems a lot more professional and polished
Yes,
than the
yes,
Bernanke, and certainly than Grandma.
yes.
Clueless. Here, give me my broom.
Yeah, I
So
think he's
I
highly
have a
competent.
pen, man. So from that aspect of things, if I was giving Jerry the benefit of the doubt, I would say exactly what you just said, Mr. K, which is that he's trying to control inflation,
Yes,
which would be a good thing, which
yes.
very
And I think
well
he
could
said
be a
that quite
good
a
thing,
bit.
Ian.
Right. So some other stats: the dollar's depreciated sharply since March,
Yep.
owing to fears about the impact of tariffs and on economic growth. And to your point, there just seems to be a lot of fear of these tariffs, not actual, data. Like the markets are reacting to, future bad news. They do this often,
Right.
by the way.
Well, they are
But
forward looking, but
yeah, yeah. Good news that bond yields have risen since Trump's presidency quite a bit. So if you want to play that, which full disclosure, I have a little bit given.
you know what? If they say the other thing that I think was it was either in that Tucker Carlson presentation or another, might have been in a and I'll give him a shout out. It might have been in a George Gannon. I think it was in a
Mm,
George Gannon presentation, and over the weekend, who shout out to George. We love George too. The bottom line is that the inverted pyramid with gold on the bottom, cash, and government treasuries were right above cash, man. So
right,
that
right.
basically says that if things fall apart, your country is one of the last things that are going to fall apart. And
Right,
if that's the case, you got real problems.
right, right,
You not only have cash problems, you got other problems too.
right. Crypto has risen, but not as much as anticipated, given Trump's language stating that the U.S. will be the Bitcoin superpower of the world.
Good
That's one of his
luck.
claims when he took office.
Good
Uh,
luck with that.
so crypto has risen, but not to the heights that one would
You know,
think, given that Trump is a big fan of that.
with all our wonderful AI, and and we had this discussion offline, totally unrelated. I took a ride in my cousin's new Tesla, which he bought at fire sale prices. So anyway, um, and what was it? The head of Nvidia claims that that what is a Grok is the most advanced AI model ever with
Hmm.
3 trillion parameters.
Oh,
The
wow.
3 trillion, which help essentially drive that car on the
Right,
auto driving mode,
right,
and
right.
the bottom line, which makes sense which makes sense. It's paramount that we don't run over anybody on the sidewalk.
Yes.
The wrong phone number to, or the AI giving me the wrong phone number to order pizza is way different than me running over somebody on the sidewalk.
Yes. Yes. Quite a different.
But
Quite a difference.
the bottom line is that so you look at that aspect and say, while I can operate AI can operate a car and self drive it, I still am unable to process any cryptocurrency in real time transactions like using a credit card at a point of sale in a store.
Right. 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 Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well,
That's a little inconvenient. Let's put it
yeah,
that
to say
way.
the to say the least. So that was a long-winded way of saying, "Gosh, man, you'd have thought that we were able to figure out some way to process transactions on
Right.
a blockchain
Right.
a
That was the promise of
little
blockchain.
quicker." And
Right. Right.
and so you would think, and I won't say centralized, but you would think that maybe you would have a something like a cache
Right.
of the latest balance of the latest. You would use something to cache the latest 51% consensus of what my balance is.
Right. Right.
you know, but hey, that's just me.
Yeah. Yeah. I got some other stuff. Consumer sentiment has tanked since Trump took office. Again, the tariffs have had
I don't know how you
something to
had
do with that.
consumer. I don't know how you had any consumer sentiment under Biden. That had to either be
Yeah,
a
that's true.
phony
That's a very good
number
point.
or a bunch of insane people.
Right.
If
Right.
that is if consumer sentiment was high under Biden, legitimately that says either one of two things: the statistics department that was calculating that are
Right.
pathetic liars, or or the people that they are calling on the phone to get that consensus are the list of the most insane people in the country.
Right. Right.
So,
I won't name the source, but it's a pretty reliable source. But again, yeah, I they're going off Biden numbers now. There's Trump numbers, so
yikes.
I don't think consumer sentiment and what I recall was sky high under the Biden administration. Let me just take a quick peek because I got the graph in front of me.
Oh, okay.
Sentiment, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the same when Trump took over. I mean, it's taken a dive because of the tariffs, and now it's coming back up a little bit. Uh, but it wasn't tremendously high under Biden. It was really high. I'm looking at the Trump first term, and man, sentiment was really high during his administration
And guess
until
what?
COVID hit. Until COVID hit, but he was
Right,
on
but
it. He was right.
there is nothing that happened to drive that. So it says
Right.
that I don't know who's nothing happened. He was going to open that pipeline, which never did get connected. I don't think, man,
Yeah, I
because
don't think it
it
got
took
connected
too
either.
long, and Uncle Joe, crazy Uncle Joe, shut the thing down or
Yeah.
whatever, dude. So I'm not sure. It's like sentiment was extremely high on the fact that we were building 15 bridges to nowhere. So,
Right.
yeah, what?
Well, I mean, the chart I saw was it was really high during Trump's first term, and then COVID hit, and it went down like a rock, and it's understandable. And Biden inherits COVID for a while, and it doesn't move really that high up. And then the tariff announcement in April just sent it reeling down,
Yeah, although
and it's starting to come back a little.
again, I honestly think. that tariff this stuff is a sacrificial lamb for other things. I honestly think, and we'll just go back to this, that COVID, in spite of all the insanity that went on,
Right.
complete and utter insanity, it started out as the sacrificial lamb for October 2019 LIBOR overnight
Right.
lending repo market disaster, which I won't explain.
Well, we talked about it in another
Well, yeah,
podcast.
we
Listen back, folks.
obviously
We talked
we
about
won't talk
this.
about it, but I think it started out as the sacrificial lamb for that, and I think tariffs are the sacrificial lamb again,
Yes.
just how we started for much more nasty undercurrents that are going on that nobody wants to admit or talk about.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because if you go back and talk about COVID, other than people that are like deep financial people, how many COVID podcasts do you recall that are discussing the overnight repo lending rate in
Right.
October of 2019
Zero.
as a potential trigger? I'm thinking not a few, not a whole
Not
lot.
many, if any.
Other than our fine podcast,
Right. Right. But we were late to the game, but we did talk about it.
that's right.
GDP has risen since Trump took office, so that's good if you ask me. Uh, Home prices have skyrocketed. Here's a question: what is the median price of a house today
Across the nation,
across the U.S.? So you factor in the beautiful California along
yeah,
with,
right. How about
Nebraska.
I'm going to go way out on a limb, and this is probably high, maybe high, but 440.
You were a little bit high,
Well,
and that's a
really,
great guess.
because I was basically gonna say reasonably it should be like 375.
It should be.
Well, what do we got there?
It's 416,900.
Really?
Yeah, so
Oh,
you were very close with your guess, which is very good. I was, my guess was 375, yeah, something like that, or
yeah,
350.
that is.
I was thinking it was 350, but
Yeah,
it's
I think it
416.
peaked. I think it is absolutely peaked. Now, while we're talking about tariffs, I think it might have been George Gannon's podcast, the person that George Gannon was interviewing, talking about real estate in a collapsing situation because of the tariff scenario. Real estate prices, the medium home price goes back to about 250. That's the good. That's the good news. The bad news is a pair of jeans made in a foreign country are $300.
Oops.
Oops. So his thought was load up your closet now, man,
Again,
with all the foreign made goods, dude, because the stuff made in the U.S. is won't go anywhere. The stuff that we actually have to, and you brought this up about the dollar tanking, Mr. Gay. So the bottom line
right.
is that his thought had some reasoning. Now let's hope we're never paying $350 for a pair of jeans.
Oh my God,
But
no.
the
No, that'd
bottom
be
line
terrible.
is that that was his analogy: is your house in the stock market is gonna deflate along with the dollar. And the bottom line is that things that haven't been made in this country in a number of decades, and textiles and stuff like that, are not going to be cheap. And
Right. Yeah, I was thinking jeans would go Levi's, and what Trump has been saying is, we'll just pivot to the American made stuff. But to your point,
he's
who the heck's making textiles? oils.
The point was, I think, by
I
him
mean,
is
there's
there is no American. Unfortunately, for that plan, is it's a little flawed because there is no American made option. You ran the last textile plant out in the like
right, right,
80s, man,
right.
in the
But in
late
Trump's,
80s or
I think
whatever.
Trump's weird world, there have been American options that we haven't like looked into because the foreign imports we're getting are so much cheaper. So,
Yeah, well,
but
now hold on here. Let's say, man. So we should bring it up. Do you have any AI? Do you have any AI agent client there? We need to ask Grok if it knows how to sew.
right, right, yeah.
Hey, Grok, have you ever used a loom, or do you know how to sew?
So what's going to happen next week? We'll pivot back to tariffs a bit. A federal appeals court will soon hear oral arguments in the lawsuit challenging Trump's authority to impose sweeping reciprocal tariffs. Uh, and my comment on this is, the only thing that Trump has sent to the Congress has been the big beautiful bill. I mean, he's making military decisions without them, and not that he's the first president to do that,
Yeah.
but he's doing this tariffs completely without congressional hearings or anything. Analysts are saying that Trump will lose these legal battles and the tariffs will go away.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on that?
Uh, I don't actually know now why they would actually fight us in court if he had them in place because he's negotiated some great deals. Um, Although I will say, what are my thoughts on that? Tariffs, I think, are treaties, and treaties can only be ratified by the Senate, by
Right.
2/3 of the Senate, if I'm not mistaken. So, um, yes, I think that if they fight him, he might actually have to back off.
Yeah, so Trump's doing this under the Emergency Economic Powers Act, and I mean that sounds like it.
I don't know what's in that.
Right.
I'm sure a bunch of garbage. So I could be wrong.
Well, yeah, it's part of the law, so he is leveraging that. That's why he set up Doge. He's great at finding loopholes and finding laws
Yeah, right.
to do
No,
what he
good for him.
wants. So he's doing these tariffs under the Emergency Economic Powers Act. The other thing I find interesting is some of the experts are saying that this will go to the Supreme Court and Trump will lose in the Supreme Court. I don't know. Trump hasn't lost much of this Supreme Court.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Is packed with a lot of his buds and a lot of Republicans.
Yeah, no, you know what? I am surprised on how much he is winning in the Supreme Court,
Court.
and I will give this to the Don, even though sometimes he is really full of himself and pisses me off. I will have to say I am not tired of winning.
Right. Yeah, he isn't either.
We'll
close with a few
but I
stats.
am not tired of winning, but if you call Thomas Massey a loser again, we're going to come up and pick at the White House.
Yeah. He made some disparaging remarks about my man Josh Hawley, calling him a second-tier senator, and I didn't take to them too lightly either. I wasn't pleased at all with that. Major markets.
Ironically enough, while we're down that path, we'll just say something. So I watched the beginning of Colonel McGregor's over the weekend podcast, in which he said, could you get back to negotiating with Russia and quit calling all these people names like you are in the 6th grade, because they are literally, dude, highly highly respected professionals and who have run countries and run economic operations and military operations for decades. And
Right, right,
so
right,
you the only thing you are doing is making a damn fool out of
right.
yourself, dude.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, and I have to say, McGregor nailed that.
Yes,
So
yes, yes.
why
Speak
don't you
truth.
send some diplomatic people over there to actually try and negotiate something and smooth something over and be quiet for once?
Right. Yeah. Good luck with that. Good
Good
luck with
luck with
that.
that. Is right,
I
dude.
mean,
You're
his
not sure.
first.
And here's the thing, Mr. K. I'm not sure if it's a strategy or if he literally is nuts. And
Right,
but the
right,
bottom line is that I just have to say that maybe it's an effective strategy. Maybe sometimes it's not. It
right,
appears
right,
to be not with Russia.
right.
And
Yeah,
so the bottom line is that is maybe since that appears to be a really crappy strategy and you've got nothing from it
right,
at this point, maybe we should reevaluate our
right,
position and try
right.
something different.
Yes, that would be nice. I don't know if that was a strategy that worked better in business, but I don't think it works in politics.
Yeah, right.
So maybe that. We'll end with major markets. S&P has been up 6% since President Trump took office. Now, what's really wild is I ran these stats 2 weeks ago, and they were a lot better. S&P was up 9 over the
Yeah,
last two
yeah,
weeks.
right.
It's fell down to 6. Triple Q's up 8. It was up to 11 2 weeks ago. Small caps are at 7% since Trump took office. 2 weeks ago, they were up 9. So
Yep.
markets are doing relatively well, and as I recall, a lot better than under the Biden administration. I know there was
Yeah.
1 year under the Biden administration where, geez, they were all down.
Yeah, yeah, right,
So,
right. So I mean, it's pretty high. So if they can just keep them afloat, even a little bit
right,
of sideways action would be good until.
right. So my overall feeling is with Trump, the second term is not as good as his first economically. The one word that comes to mind is meh. I mean, I like,
Well,
inflation's at a good rate, GDP's up, unemployment at
here is
4.2, a
what I would
little
say, dude.
high.
He could do us a huge favor. Yeah, you know what? I will say one economic piece of data that is hats off to the Don, and I think it passed. I think it was in the big beautiful bill. Was the non-taxing of tips?
Yes,
Um,
yes. That was in the big, beautiful
that
bill.
is the greatest thing the man
Yes,
has done to
yes,
date.
yes,
Not in this
yes,
administration, not in
yes.
this term. That is the greatest thing the man has done to date,
Right,
man,
right,
ever.
right,
So the
right.
bottom line is that maybe he can actually lean on the IRS, and I'm not opposed to him. Putting a lot of pressure on the Fed. I thought it was funny that he went and looked at the Fed's construction project.
Oh yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
it's very funny
Okay.
that the American taxpayer would be paying one penny to
Right,
actually remodel a building that is controlled by a private entity.
right, right,
And
right.
huh? What? How did
Yeah,
that even happen? But
yeah.
the bottom line is that from that aspect, I would say, why don't you forget about getting rid of Jerry Powell and just get rid of Jerry Powell's entire organization? And you can
Mm,
give that building, the newly
right,
remodeled building, to the Treasury Department
right, right.
where it belongs to.
Yes,
And
yes,
you
yes. That
know,
would be
and
good.
and guess what? You can take their friends, the IRS, along
Yes.
with
Oh
them.
my God.
And there you
Yes.
go. And then that would finalize there are no tax on tips. Let's
Right,
say there are no taxes on anything.
right, right. Exactly.
On
Exactly.
any income. So
That would be a big, beautiful bill.
that would be a big, beautiful bill. So come on, Don, we're
That
counting
would
on
make
you.
the bill
Now,
beautiful.
The people have spoken.
Right, right.
I'll throw it back to you, Mr.
All right,
President.
we'll end it here. I'll do some outros. You can catch us on YouTube. Like and subscribe to us. We do have a website up. You reach us on email. Let me go in order here. We're on email at One for the Road Podcast. That's the number one, the number four, the road podcast at gmail.com. We do have a website. It is up, and I've been slowly adding content to it. onefortheroad.net. Like and subscribe us on YouTube. We are on 3 audio platforms, those being RSS, Spotify, and Podbean. For C Squared, this is Mr. K. Have a good week.
See you, folks. Thanks for tuning in.
Yep.